Today I'm speaking on the subject, altars versus altars. I know some of you have heard this before, but I tell you, you will hear it today in a different dimension. You have never heard it before. And I'm trusting God to drive it home. That is why yesterday I said something. I said, the things that I am teaching are my life. At first, I used to talk a lot about myself. And I realized that I'm not very diplomatic about it. So this time, I give examples and I paraphrase so that you don't laugh at me too much. But most of the things I teach and I talk about are my life. They are things that personally I have experienced, I have seen. Am I speaking to somebody? Yeah. Now, when we talk about deliverance, the reason why a lot of people don't like the subject of deliverance is because of the way it has been packaged. That's why we need more refined men of God like my type, so that they can really drive home this subject. Because the reason why many of you, when it comes to the issue of deliverance, you start running is because of the way it was packaged. I was in a church in Europe about 2-3 months ago, and a young lady asked me a question. And the lady said, why is it that in the deliverance ministry, you guys talk about the devil a lot? Why don't you glorify Jesus and talk about Jesus? And I said, well, it is not that we don't talk about Jesus, no. There are two ways of bathing. You can either decide to bath with a soap, and you can decide not to bath with a soap. It is still bathing. But when those two people pass by you, you will know the one who bathed with a soap and the one who didn't bath with a soap. Now, what it simply means is that the death of Jesus on the cross, you can either decide to appropriate the benefit of the cross and decide not to appropriate it and still be in the faith. What I'm trying to say is that you can be a child of God, speaking in tongues, a believer, and come to church and pray and dance your entire life away without appropriating the finished work of Jesus on the cross. And you can die very poor, even though you speak in tongues. But you can also decide that I will come to church and I will appropriate what Jesus did for me on the cross. Many of you, is the lack of understanding of what the subject of deliverance is all about. I am doing a PhD program with Hafuchi Ministries. And most of you know Hafuchi talks about new creation. I've read every book concerning new creation. So I was making a position on the subject of deliverance. And I was telling him that when it comes to the subject of deliverance, the reason why a lot of people feel that it's a subject that people must not touch, because it's like you are talking about Satan. No. You cannot confront what you are not aware of. And when it comes to the subject of deliverance, it is not about your title as a bishop, as an archbishop. Those things are irrelevant. Haven't you seen people who are men of God at the very zenith of their ministry have fallen? Haven't you seen people at the very zenith of their career have been reduced to nothing? Because they didn't have understanding. I was preaching in a church years ago. The pastor broke into tears. He said, if I had met you earlier. Because you see, in life, Satan only manipulates you in the area of ignorance. I tell people all the time, listen, one of the greatest tragedy of life is not death. One of the greatest tragedy of life is lack of knowledge. and ignorance. One day I was going somewhere when I was living in Abu Dhabi. I was looking for a place to get some items for our church in Accra. And I drove to a point and I stopped and I met an Arab man. Where I drove, the GPS that was giving me indicated that I had arrived, but there was no sign or nothing to show that I had arrived at the right place. So I asked the man, please, I am looking for so place. And you see, that is the many problem, or that is the problem of many of you. You have encountered men of God and people who you thought should show you the way, but they couldn't show you the way because they cannot give what they don't have. I come from a family background that the things I teach about are my life. I have seen the other side. I have seen what is called real power. Real power. It's not the ones you see on television, people are faking it. I'm talking about real power. Yeah, real power. Where they will bury somebody and the person will vanish. And the next minute at the festival, you will see him hanging there, drinking cocoa. The one you just saw in front of you, buried, alive. So I don't teach theory. I don't come and tell you about something somebody said. I'm telling you my life. When I gave my life to Jesus, my father sat me down midnight around 2 a.m. Sat me down and said, are you serious about this thing you are talking about? Because you know where we are coming from. Because where we are coming from is two ways. You are either serious or you join the other side. So my dad knew about that. He sat me down and said, this thing you have chosen, you better be serious about it. Because you know where we are coming from. If you really are serious, then be serious. But you can't serve halfway. Because where I come from, if you serve halfway, they'll kill you. You are either serious or you are a joker. And when I asked the man, I said, please, can you show me the way? He said, Al-Bibi, you know how they talk Arabs. You want to go this way? Okay, this place. Go straight. You see some curve, move right. Then from left, go right. From right, then you see sign. There, Al-Bibi, there. I followed him because to me, he had more knowledge than me. That is his country. That's where he comes from. You see, that's the problem of many of you. When you see men of God in clerical suits and you see people exhibit a certain gift and talent, you think they know it. They don't know it. They don't have the answer. I met a man of God years ago and I was teaching about this. He said, I don't believe in this thing. This is not real. Oh, these things are not real. Until he got to the age of 45, still not married. The last time I met him, he said, this thing you're talking about is real. Oh. I'm 45, I'm still not married. He went back to his village, went to ask the mother, Mama, I'm a man of God. Things that are happening is not normal. And the mother began to tell him things. He said, why didn't you tell me all this while? He said, well, you are the man of God. I thought you should know. Ladies and gentlemen, I drove round. Then I got to the same point. And when I got there, I asked another person. And the person said, where you are standing, Abibi, look at the sign. You are here. But you need to just pass like this. Then the Holy Ghost ministered to me and said, you see, that is the mystery for many people. That's why many of you have become frustrated. When you hear of revival meetings like this, you don't want to go again because the people you thought should show you the way, they are not showing the way. So everything is becoming repetitive. You have been moving from one revival to another revival without solution. Because to you, the people are telling you have the answer. And you go there, there is no answer after years. And you are wondering when. And that's the mystery for many people. That's the mystery for many people. Today, I'm going to teach you about altars. Listen, I know many of you have encountered things that even as you are coming, you have deprogrammed your mind and say, listen, let me just come and make pastor happy. Whatever this man is, you just close so that we go home. But if you can disabuse your mind, I will help you. And by the time I leave here on Sunday and I finish with you, you will thank your pastor that I came to this church. I'm not joking. You will thank your pastor. Ladies and gentlemen, altars are real. When we talk about the subject of altars, they are real. They are real. Don't let anybody deceive you. What is an altar? An altar is a raised place where divinity comes into contact with humanity. That is what an altar represents. An altar is a place where divinity comes into contact with humanity. For instance, as I stand here, I'm standing on an altar. But you see, this thing here doesn't make the altar powerful. There is something that makes the altar so powerful. For instance, let me give you reasons why a church's altar is powerful. Number one, the lifestyle of the pastor. That is why you need to pray for your pastor. When a pastor is living right with God, his altar becomes very powerful. Because the pastor himself is an altar. For those of you who are not aware, when you bless a man of God himself is an altar. So when you bless him, you are actually putting an altar sacrifice based on his lifestyle. Number two, when the singers of the church are also living right. One of the most attacked areas of the church is the singers. That's why you have all sort of things happening in the choir. And when they live right for God, the third is the prayer department. These are the three pillars of the church that makes an altar powerful. Because there is always an invisible voice that speaks on the altar. An altar is a place of slaughter. When you go to an abattoir where they slaughter meat, the only thing you see there is blood. Blood. So everything that comes on the altar dies on the altar. So anytime you come to church and you place an offering upon the altar, whatever you put on the altar dies on the altar. Because it's a sacrifice. It dies on the altar. Go to Genesis 4:4. Go to Genesis 4 verse 4. Let me show you something. It talks about two brothers, Cain and Abel. Now, and Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat, and the Lord respected Abel and his offering. In the verse 5, go to verse 5. But he did not respect Cain and his offering, and Cain was very angry and his countenance fell. So the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? And why has that countenance fell? Now go to the next one, 7, quickly. If you had done well, will it not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lieth at the door. Now, the long and short of the story is that eventually Cain went ahead to kill the brother Abel out of jealousy. I fear people who understand the principle of sacrifice. Do you know that most of the noises we make in the name of prayer, which is good, half of our prayers can be solved with a sacrifice. I fear people who know and understand what is called sacrifice. I fear them. A typical example was Hannah. The Bible said when Hannah prayed and prayed, nothing happened. The prophet was not moved until she negotiated with God and said, give me a son, I'll give you a prophet. A sacrifice was placed on the altar, and the Lord immediately spoke to the prophet and said, go tell her a year by this time. Ladies and gentlemen, fear people who understand the concept of sacrifice. When somebody has an issue against you, a case against you, sometimes he doesn't need to pray long prayers. All he needs is to bring his sacrifice and lay it at the altar and said, I bring this sister before you, God. And that is it. You are finished. Cain killed the brother. Go to the portion where the Lord came to the garden and asked, where is thy brother? Can you go there for me? Cain killed the brother Abel, and he thought that, oh, I'm done with my brother. I've killed him. Nobody will know. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Blood does not die. Blood. There is no price that blood cannot pay for. There is no price. There is nothing that blood cannot be used to exchange. I'm telling you today, when you go to my family house, when you go to a true shrine, what gives authenticity and voice to every altar is the amount of blood that is sacrificed on the altar. Where there is no blood, that is why when you read the Bible, there are three things you will see. You will see altar, and when you see altar, you will see sacrifice, and when you see sacrifice, you see blood. And the Lord came in the cool of the day just to come and fellowship with Cain and Abel, and he started hearing voices. He said, Cain, where are you? Where are you? The blood of your brother speaketh vengeance against you. Some of you, you've never killed before. You have never done anything bad before. So the battles you are going through under normal circumstances, you shouldn't be going through because you don't owe anybody. You've not offended anybody. But you see, what you forget is that you come from a family. When the children of Israel, when they had opportunity and they were asked, should we release Jesus or Barabbas? They said, we don't want Jesus home. Kill him. Then they said, let his blood. Listen to what they said. They said, let his blood be on our head and that of our children. And so some of you are going through a battle, not because you negotiated for it, but because you come from a family background. That's why in some families, nobody get married. Some families are like that. They never get married. They are beautiful. I said it yesterday. When it's Coca-Cola, they have it. Bottleneck shake, they have it. English speaking, Queen's English, well-mannered, knows how to sit, sip coffee. But yet, no man is asking her, are you for sale, for hire, for rent, for lease? There is no style in this world that they have not given to their men, but the men only see them as objects to use them. I have known families where strange things happen in the family. Strange. Every year. That's why I wrote one of my books, The Dust of Yesterday. It was born out of a true story. I had to take the family through a family deliverance. And what was the story? There were 6 in the family. The firstborn dropped out of school just to be able to take care of the rest. And what was the firstborn doing? He was repairing motorcycle and bicycle. Dropped out of school so that his younger ones can go to school. The secondborn went to school, completed. The third one never went to school. The rest were ladies. 4 girls, 2 boys. And the mystery about their life is that the first one, so poor, has nothing to offer. Haven't you seen people that you have met? They are men, and the only thing that describes them as men is what is between their legs. That's the only thing that describes them as men. That's why yesterday I said, if they call you for a funeral and they give you date, it means that they are telling you have not arrived. And in this life, until you arrive, your generation will never salute you. Until you arrive, nobody knows you. That is why I told you yesterday that don't be deceived when they tell you that life begins at 40. Life does not begin at 40. You can be 20 and still be blessed. Life begins when a man understands the mystery behind his misery, and he understands how to break his cage. Because until you break your cage, you cannot receive your wage. The Bible said the whole earth wait for the manifestations of the sons of God. I met a gentleman in Dubai years ago, and the guy was a Nigerian. He said, I have 2 masters. He's driving taxi. And this guy is talking, and you could sense that this guy is loaded here. He has brain, but brain has nothing to offer. He has brain, he has gone to school, but nothing to offer. Nothing to offer. I've seen families where strange death. You get to the age of 40, people die mysterious death. How did they come to see me? They heard me on radio. For those of you who are not aware, you can tell your families. I'm on about 7 radio stations back in Ghana. Sweet melody every day from Monday to Friday, talking about the subject of deliverance. When I started talking about deliverance in Ghana, some of the pastors, they fought me. Until some of them started divorcing. Then they realized that the things I was talking about was real. Because you cannot confront what you don't know. You can't fight what you are not aware. They heard me on radio and they came and they started narrating their story in tears. The first one was so poor, has nothing to offer. And the guy, when he sat in front of me and the guy was talking, you could see that this guy, if only he had a helper. Haven't you got to a place where sometimes when I'm teaching about deliverance, I start crying? You know why? Because it's something I'm so passionate about. I have seen it in my own life. Where you know that all you need is a little push for you to get there, but there's no helper. Nobody is ready to listen to you. The guy, 45, 50, nothing. The younger one. You know how everybody will help one person in the family, thinking that if he gets there, all of us can get there. The guy finished with first class. First class. You see, let me tell you, life is not about first class, even though first class is good. I said yesterday, starting the journey is not relevant as arriving. I have seen people with first class, second degree, PhD, useless. They have nothing to offer. It is not how you start, it is how you arrive. You can have all the degrees of this world, But show me what you have achieved with all these degrees. Show me. That's why I said faith without evidence is not real. If you keep preaching to me and telling me that faith, God will do it. Oh, delay is not denial. Oh, one day God will do it. And I'm still confessing this thing for the past 2 decades. That something is wrong somewhere. Because it is not the desire of God for you to be poor. No, that's not from God. It's not the desire of God for you to be begging. No, that's not God's desire for your life. No. The second month finished with first class. Has applied to jobs, applied, and all the time. You know how when you apply for a job, they don't even want to look at your face. Because the thing is not you. Something is fighting you. I met one gentleman who came to me after hearing me on television, heard me, ran to me, and this was his story. The father took care of, there were 2. One of the guy the father took care of was not his biological son, adopted, picked him, trained him. They all went to the same school, but along the way, he dropped out and the guy continued. Then their father died. The guy became a politician, was doing very well. So apparently, if my father took care of you, obviously, and you're a politician, you should help me. Anytime he went to the office, the bodyguard and the policeman would drive this guy away. He would try to explain himself. He would try to call the brother. The call will be going through it. He will not pick up. The day they lost the election, that day when he went to the office, the bodyguards allowed him. And when he saw the brother said, these 4 years, I've been looking for you everywhere. I call your number is switched off. I said, but me too, I've been calling you. Anytime I call, I say, I don't know this number. So why are you here? I want contract. I want you to help me. I said, now we've lost election. I don't know how I'm going to help you. Something is following you. And until you discover it, you cannot recover. Because it is in the discovery that you recover. The guy looked for a job. They kept turning him down. Some of them, they don't even want to look at his face. They don't. And sometimes when he's going for the interview, strange things will happen. He will leave very early in the house, and he will come and stand at the junction, and there's no car. He will start trekking to the interview with the intention that, okay, if I can't find a car, then let me just trek. Whilst he's trekking, some motorcycle or some car will just be passing, splash dirty water on him. So he has no choice than to return back home. And that has been his pattern. The last job he got, finally he got a job at an oil company. They came back home, they celebrated. They said, at last, one of us. You see, many of you think that coming to America will make you arrive. No. I have met people in London, Europe, and other places. They say, Pastor, when we sat in the plane and we're coming, they say, America, here I come. London, here I come. Until we arrive and started and realized that we have not even started the journey yet. Because you see, the things I talk about, it is not how far you are. No. Until you deal with the source, where the problem is coming from. You can go to America, you can go to the moon. Whatever is following you in Africa will follow you here. That is how one guy struggled, went through Morocco, Libya, struggled and stowed and got to Europe. And he said, finally, I have gotten here. I can change the destiny of my family. One night, one of his friends said, can we go for window shopping? Let's go and watch around. The day they went for window shopping, armed robbers entered the place. The very day, for months, he wasn't going out because he wanted to make sure that the coast is clear and everything, so that he can do his documentation. And then the friend said, let's just go and see. No, I don't think police will stop you. Then when they entered the mall that day, thieves entered there. So the police raided the place. Now they were checking papers. And they realized the guy didn't have paper. They deported him. This one happened in Dubai under my own watch. It's not that they told me. The guy came to see me and said, I needed help. My visa and my card has expired. So that day on Sunday, I raised money. I raised almost about $2,000 and I gave it to him to go and do his papers. So he did his paper. He was in the process of doing it. And you see in Dubai, how they do their papers is that somebody will help you get a job. Then the job will now give you the paper. So he saw somebody who said he was going to help him do security guard. So he sent about 1,500 to the person. And the person absconded with the money. So on his own, no, nobody advised him. On his own, he picked phone, called police, and said, police, and this so person has absconded with my money. This guy is a Nigerian. Maybe he's even watching me. The police said, oh, no worry. Come to the police station. Let's see how we can solve this problem. When he got to the police, they arrested him, bundled him into a prison, and later deported him. This guy got a job, and the family was excited. They jubilated, celebrated. They said, one of us has succeeded. You know the mystery about life. When they are doing funeral, when some of you, your cousins and your nieces are in Ghana, they are celebrating. My auntie is in abroad. They should come and see. Some of you, they are celebrating you back home. My sister is in abroad. They think, for them there, they think you have arrived though. That's why when they are doing their obituary, they put your name there as elder of ceremony.